In case you couldn't tell, I'm a very reddish shade of brown. Uh, I got a little bit more sun than I was anticipating on this April day.
All right. I mean, I got some as well because I was standing outside for a record store day yesterday, and it was quite sunny. So I
Nice.
did. I got a little bit in the face too, which
Fair. I was laying on the beach listening to Aerosmith. Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
That sounds nice.
yeah. It was a decent way to spend the middle of the day.
Hmm.
It being sunny today for the first time. Well, we've had a couple sunny days. The clouds have come back, but it's not raining. But we have had a couple very sunny days around here
Hmm.
with no rain,
Oh shit.
which is unheard of for every day so far this year. Because I genuinely do not think we've had a day without rain until this past week all year. Yeah, at
Interesting.
least where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's very damp area of the world.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to looking at some bad reviews or some good reviews of
And good. I had to do a soda to give me some caffeine.
nice, good old skull glass. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, full disclosure, I'm hungover, a little hungover.
Oh shit. You're celebrating record store day a little hard.
Well, I mean, it's like like I don't normally get what I would actually call drunk. Like on the weekends when I have some beers and stuff, I always get to that point where I'm just kind of tipsy and kind of just feeling good, and then that's kind
Right.
of my level. But there are some nights that it was like last night, like I had like an all 80s pop radio show on my
I
channel, and
I
then
noticed that. Yeah.
and my wife, and I were just like hanging out, vibing to the music, and I was just drinking and drinking. Sometimes you're in a mood and you just don't realize that you're just throwing them back. And so,
Yeah.
so by the end of the night, I was just like, oh, I'm like legit drunk. Like this is, and I can't, I'm not into that anymore. So like once I hit that point, I just go, all right, I gotta go to bed. I'm gonna go to
Yeah.
bed now.
I get
Because
that.
and so I woke up today and I'm just like, man, I'm feeling it. This is, 46 years old. You don't recover from drunkenness the way that you did when you were younger. But
Yeah,
um,
I've never been the type to drink to the point of hungover.
yeah,
I'm quite responsible with avoiding it. So like even if I do drink like 8 fucking beers, I'll like neck 2 pints of water before I go to sleep. Inevitably having to piss halfway through, but it's worth it to not be fucked up the following day as
yeah,
much as you would be. Yeah.
yeah. But I learned my lesson, and I'm just like, all right, yeah, that's not my life anymore, and I don't do that kind of shit. But it's whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so I have some extra caffeine that hopefully will do something. But maybe it'll end up being good because maybe I'm just going to be highly irritable, and we're going to read bad reviews, and it's going to piss me off. Now been preparing for this. Hi everybody. This is I don't even know where this episode starts. It's just going to start with our tans.
Yeah.
Is where it's going to start. But this is, I guess would be a sidebar, CNR sidebar, I guess.
I'm willing to make this its
Uh-oh.
own thing.
Do you have a name? That's the real question.
I was thinking something to the effect of like review the reviewer or something like that, or
Okay.
it's I'm kind of spitballing ideas name wise. This one
Yeah.
kind of has me a little stumped.
Yeah.
Review the reviewer or something. But we could just call it CNR sidebar. bad, uh, ridiculous reviews. There it is.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Ridiculous reviews. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm not the name guy.
Reviewculous.
What?
I don't know.
That sounds like some sort of Greek god or something.
Yeah.
Reviewculous. Reveal
Lord
your.
of the incels.
No, but so yeah, so however, everybody, normally this is Cranked and Ranked, and normally we're ranking band discographies and whatnot, but we do these things every once in a while where we do other things, and this is the second time that we're going to go online and read other people's reviews of albums. But the last time we did this, we approached it that we're going to read negative reviews of great albums that we both agree are great albums, and then I like to read positive reviews of albums that everybody hates, just because that's my thing. And then we rip into them a little bit. Last time it was we did it the Encyclopaedia Metallum. So here's my problem that I ran into, because I was just jotting down album ideas, not realizing that the majority of them are not metal. And so they're not on Encyclopaedia Metallum. So it's like, what, is there another place like that where people just randomly do, like, Joe Schmo can write a review of an album and we can read?
Well, I tell you what, the convenient thing is I have iTunes open or Apple Music open. So what I was thinking is I'll click shuffle, and if it lands on an album eventually that we love, we could jump in and see what people think.
Oh shit! Okay, that's interesting. All right,
keep it random,
Okay.
So let's have a look. Iron Maiden Killers. Okay, would that be a fun one to start with? What do you think?
Mean, I love that album, but also I can understand why somebody wouldn't like that album. So it's not really it's not, I don't think that would be too interesting. Because remember last time we set the bar high last time, because we did Ride the Lightning, Dirt, Angel Dust, like albums that that I question people that don't like them,
Okay, well, in the spirit of that, let's do the same thing this time, but with puppets. We'll start off with Master of Puppets, and we'll go from there.
All right, well let's pull up the Encyclopaedia Metallum.
Okay.
Is that how you fucking pronounce it? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, that's the one.
Nope. I can't type either, guys, just so everybody knows.
I've already found one that's going to make you very angry from the title alone.
So let me see. Master of Puppets. Puppets. What? Master of Puppets. Oh, because it's searching for a band name.
Yeah.
See, I'm telling you, I am not with it today. Oh, it'd be helpful if I set it to album title and then search that shit.
Excuse me.
Of course, it brings up all these different reviews. So can you sort these by lowest? That would be really helpful, because I would like to know the lowest one. There's a 0.
I think you can on like certain. If you go to, hang on, where is it?
So we gotta read the 0 then, right?
Well,
it's called the album. The review title is "The Album That Killed Heavy." ... So I don't know. The album that killed heavy metal.
Oh my god, this is a fucking.
Oh my god, why is this so long? This is not real.
Holy shit!
If this wasn't posted in 2004, I would just think that it was AI generated. Speaking of that, do you know that you can do that? And not to sidetrack us, but if I pull up Chat GPT and I say,
I've played around with that.
Write me a negative review of the Metallica album Master of Puppets.
Guitar tone stinky. Don't like guitar tone.
Why did it start playing? Why is it playing the music? ChatGPT. So here's ChatGPT literally in fucking seconds. Master of Puppets by Metallica falls short of its legendary status with its relentless thrashing often feeling monotonous rather than invigorating. While the band showcases technical prowess, the album lacks diversity, making it a tiresome listen after a few tracks. The lyrics, primarily focused on themes of control and addiction, feel repetitive and fail to offer any deeper insight or emotional depth. Overall, Master of Puppets fails to live up to the hype, offering little beyond its aggressive sound.
Wow.
Chat GPT. That's what you can do. If you really want to be a troll, just let Chat GPT write negative reviews of stuff for you, and then you can post them everywhere. Don't have to do any work anymore to be a troll.
Okay, I'm gonna say that this is what is standing between us and Judgment Day. I think if we just keep letting ChatGPT be fucking stupid, it will never take over the world. If we keep allowing it to have awful takes on things, it will learn to be dumb.
Oh yeah, we'll trick it into becoming stupider.
Yeah,
that sounds like it'd be a good movie, actually.
Yeah.
Like come up with a plan.
Trick the robots into being dumb. Make
Yeah.
them human.
I mean, it's easy to do that with humans. Are we going to read this long ass negative Master of Puppets review? Because this is literally
this is in the realms of piss taking. At this point, this is so long.
Yeah, because I can already see that they've even mentioned Limp Bizkit and Nirvana in here, and so I think this is a definite troll.
Okay.
Maybe what's the one that you were wanting to read?
I had my finger on the trigger of it's 25%.
25%.
And it says the most overrated album in the history of thrash metal.
I see it right here. The most overrated album in the history of thrash metal. And it's still pretty long. You guys need to fucking figure out how to get your point across in 2 paragraphs maximum, because this is just like jerking off onto a website at this point, which I guess a lot of people do. But do you want to read it?
I'm gonna see if I can find one more and see.
You know what? Let's just call it. Let's just go home. All right, this sucks.
Okay, let's see. Is this one? Okay, this one is 5% out of 100.
Okay,
it's not nearly as painfully long, and it is titled "Brilliant Thrash." So already it's condescending.
Okay.
Let's dig in. Highly motivated by the increasing success of their first 2 productions, Metallica released their 3rd album, which had a very positive worldwide reception, an impressive number of sales, and a sound that attracted youngsters who were really hungry for thrash and violence. But, unfortunately, it seems that the band started to suffer a burnout on their compositions. Even worse, it seems that the composing work was left to the wrong guy. James Hetfield undeniably is a good musician, but not exactly an innovative or brilliant songwriter. As a consequence, the songs started to turn tiresome compositions rather than an engaging thrash metal stuff. Okay, so that is the first paragraph. And
so is this one of those twerps that think that Dave Mustaine wrote the whole first 2 albums? Because it's the same songwriters.
I'm gonna
for the majority of all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. As a consequence, the band started to experiment with some weird riffs and an unnecessary slowdown in the tempos of certain songs, e.g. the title song. Not to mention the ridiculous whatchamacallit ballad that is Welcome Home Sanitarium. And let's just leave things at that. This album seems to be the blueprint on which the songs of the next following releases were made, and unexplainably, this was the music they played when Hetfield promised to feature the haunting old sound that brought American thrash metal into a higher level of aggression and insanity in an upcoming album. The alleged forceful thrasher Battery results in an interesting song that follows the structure of Fight Fire with Fire, e.g. i.e. an acoustic intro followed by some thunderous riffs that lead into a fast song a la Old Days. Thereafter, the album became a bad attempt of technical progressive thrash metal. An example is, once again, the terrible title song, which repeats the same mid-paced riff for more than 7 minutes. There are so many different fucking riffs in that song. Like,
Yeah.
did we hear the same song? Indeed, that repetitive riff would be featured in songs like Holier Than Thou. What?
What?
They have nothing in common.
I mean, maybe they have similar notes, but I mean,
But every Metallica song's in E. Like,
yeah.
No, the jig is up, guys.
Not Saint Anger. If you want to argue with that, none of that's in E. None of it. I don't. So that, yeah, the hangover is kicking in to where I'm just like, I don't have any, I have so little patience nowadays for.
Feel free to get pissed, because
I'm not really pissed, because it's like it's become so normal for people who don't quite get it but think they do to then voice that not quite getting it opinion in front of everybody. And in this particular case, I don't really care, because it's just like, this is a forum where somebody can write a review, and a dude wrote a review. But you get this kind of stuff all the time, being somebody like me who's active on the internet, that you always have people that will boldly say things that there's no possible way, if you know anything about how fucking music works, that it's correct, And I see it all the time. And so like, it gets so exhausting that I'm just like, okay, Master Puppet sounds like Holier Than Thou. Okay.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna skip a little bit of the review, because your hypothesis at the beginning about Mustaine not in the band anymore is very apparent in this last paragraph. I did a bit of a skim read. It's basically the same shit up until this point. Okay, so in the meantime, the band released many albums that started to show their need of a substitute for Dave Mustaine, since Hetfield seemed to be unable to meet the qualities of the former on guitars. This album has nothing interesting to contribute to the metal world, but just some riffs for non-metal bands like Nirvana, e.g. the intro guitars of The Thing That Should Not Be. It is just recommended for diehard fans of the band.
So what year was this review?
February 2nd, 2016.
Yeah. That dude's there are there are telltale signs.
His name is Bull Crushing Metal.
Yep. There are those telling signs when people bring up other popular bands that are really not related. And I'm assuming, I think we said this last time we were reading some of these reviews. I have a feeling that this person is like 13 and doesn't quite, because it's like, it's very easy to like review an album from 1986, 30 years later, and then be like, it's not actually groundbreaking if you think about it, because I've heard so much more music that was made last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I get so annoyed at sound-alike comparisons, because they're almost always wrong.
Redundant.
And they're almost always coming from somebody who clearly doesn't write songs and doesn't understand what goes into writing songs, because people will make comparisons between two pieces of music, and I go, that's a fucking huge stretch. So to compare two things, I'm trying to think of what the most recent one that I saw was that was ridiculous. But it's the fucking, somebody commented on something, they were talking about, Nirvana clearly ripped off Smells Like Teen Spirit from More Than a Feeling by Boston, and I'm just like, in what fucking world? Like, it's not even the same notes. It's not even the same rhythm. It's just because there's a chugga chugga in there. That's literally this like turd-minded moron hears a chugga chugga and then says, "Oh, they clearly ripped off Boston," and I'm all like, all right, there's so many things to take. That's why it gets so exhausting, because like some people will comment something so dumb that I'm like, I just have to walk away, because I can't take them aside and go, look, do you have an hour for me to talk to you about how completely dumb you are? And that's okay, because like I don't expect everyone to understand how all this shit works. That's fine. Mm-hmm. There are things I don't understand how they work, and guess what? I don't fucking talk about them. So, but people just chime in, and I don't know if this comes from they read an article back in the day or a book back in the day that said something, and they've brought that in 20 years later, it gets garbled into something else. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm ranting about that. I think the unfortunate thing is that I feel like people like you and me think more openly and deeply about music than other people do. So they think it's perfectly fine to just throw out some random shit. And those of us that this is our fucking life, we're the ones that go, God damn it, can you just stop?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, being as we've covered the renowned album by Metallica, and a lot of comparisons were being drawn to Dave Mustaine and Megadeth. I have found the lowest rated review of Rust in Peace, which...
What year? What year was this review?
2014.
Okay, they heard the... I'm gonna call it and say they heard the remix. First off, before this is a prediction. It's a prediction. I keep forgetting that we have these things that I can go...
Let's see if I can do it yet. Can I do it yet?
You just don't. You don't have the power, dude.
I don't have the power.
I got the power. Sorry, podcast listeners.
Yeah, the UK government confiscated all our laser capabilities to work on a Death Star.
Lasers are not for fun. They're for war only.
Yeah. But like, this one here is still a generous 62%. But it's titled "Maddeningly Inconsistent."
Okay.
Maddeningly.
That's a full mouthful of a word. Maddeningly. Just go on. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place today.
Madden 2024. I got him. So what do we got here? This album is generally seen as a classic of the thrash metal genre and a pinnacle of Megadeth's career. While there are undoubtedly some serious high points here, this is an extremely inconsistent record. Half of the album is great thrash and speed metal with very tight riffage, a good sense of dynamics, and huge hooks everywhere you look. The chorus of Rust in Peace, Polaris, for example, will remain in your head for weeks. The musicianship and technical ability on offer are of a very high standard. The whole band sounds ferociously tight, disciplined, and on top of their game, perhaps best showcased on Hangar 18, where the second half of the song is given over to Mustaine and Friedman trading guitar solos back and forth. That fucking rules. The lyrics are also quite entertaining, even though they just go over some of the standard Mustaine topics of warfare, Armageddon, and conspiracy theories. There are some memorable lines in there. Military intelligence, two words combined that don't make sense. Mustaine's vocals are quite good and more even in the quality than on his earlier output, which makes the album sound somewhat slicker than usual for Megadeth. Honestly, from what I've seen so far, he's being very fair in the first part. I feel like this is where it's going to get a little juicy.
Okay. All right.
The strongest bits of the album are at the beginning, especially the opener Holy Wars, which to this day remains Megadeth's finest composition and is the perfect way to open an album. Given the strength of this song and the one after it, the listener might think they are in for a treat, but here is where the album falls flat on its face. The middle of the record is dead in the water. Not one of the songs after Hangar 18 has anything like the huge hooks and catchy choruses, the sense of melody, or the memorable riffs that make the rest of the album so good. The one possible exception is Five Magics, which has an interesting breakdown halfway through that provides some interest, but the rest of the time these songs just pass by aimlessly. They sound like sterile, flat, and very forced. Thrashing away, certainly, but thrashing away for the sake of it, not to produce an interesting result. The middle section of the album just leaves no impression on the listener. It is, quite frankly, a blessed relief when Tornado of Souls eventually bursts into life. Finally, an actual chorus, a hook, interesting riffs. Sadly, it's too little too late to save the record. This is a very strange album, one that excites tremendously for the first two songs and entertains for the closing tracks, but in between completely falls flat and becomes lifeless. I cannot seriously be cited as the high point of Megadeth's career. The inconsistency is too much to tolerate. A possible comparison would be Judas Priest's Point of Entry album, another record with stupendous highs, but also some baffling sections of filler. However, the contrast on Rust in Peace, because of the way the high points bookend a sea of mediocre songwriting and dull riffage, is even starker. The album just doesn't... Sorry, wait, I lost myself. The album doesn't just sag in the middle, it falls away completely. Overall, the first two songs alone validate the price of admission, and the performances throughout are extremely good, but this album is by no means the high watermark it's so often made out to be. Megadeth have produced far more consistent records than this, worth a purchase, but preferably cheap. I've got to say, I do think the album is bookended by its best material. However, I do not think the album dips much. I got to strongly disagree on that.
No. I mean, I don't have a huge problem with this review, but I because it's clear what they're wanting. And the different the different approaches to the songwriting on that album is what makes that and many other albums so good, is because you can have songs that are just mind-bogglingly good, like how the fuck is something this awesome, but then you'll have a song that it's not trying to do the same thing. Like Take No Prisoners is not trying to do the same thing that Holy Wars is doing. Same thing with Five Magics. They're not following. Dave wasn't following like any kind of structure. And the fact that the songs, and then something like Lucretia, like you get those different approaches to songwriting where it doesn't matter. The song could be 6 minutes long with 3 minutes of solos, or it could be 2 minutes long. And so that to me is one of the things that makes that album cool, is the fact that it is kind of a journey, and it really is like an action-packed beginning and then a climax. And in the middle, it's like, wanting a movie where there's like no exposition. It's like you just start off with a car chase and explosions, and it just happens through the entire movie. I guess that's like the Fast and Furious movies, but even they have to fucking pause and be like, hey, why are we here? Who's the bad guy? But I just feel like a big problem with like other Megadeth albums I don't like is the lack of dynamics when it comes to the songwriting, because it all is very in one lane. But I really do think that like I'm not the norm when it comes to that kind of thing, because the albums that I love, most of them you could not say one song sounds like another, even if you put it on paper, like not the notes but literally just the structures of the songs where everything falls, and I like that. But if you're not into that, I could understand how Rust in Peace does feel like it dips in the middle. But I love all of them. There's no, even if I make fun of Dawn Patrol, I don't care. I wouldn't take it off the album because but then again, this is also one of those things where like I've listened to Rust in Peace so many times since I first heard it, and I guess I first heard it early '90s sometime. I don't know what when it was, but I've listened to it so many times since then that it's like you just memorize how everything goes, and you love how everything goes, which is why I hate the remixes so much. But so I don't know. So that's why like I don't do like a lot of reviews like that, because I always have to preface whenever I'm talking about an album and go, look, here's who I am. Here's my relationship with this album. So here's how I feel about it. Because I'm just like, I know that I'm not like everybody else when it comes to a lot of things. But man, my brain is all over the place today. I apologize.
It's cool. I don't mind leading the charge, hunting down these reviews, because I have jumped to the opposite end of the musical spectrum.
Oh shit!
Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood.
Is this a negative or positive review?
It's a negative review.
Oh shit! Okay.
And I think,
but to be fair, that Dr. Feelgood is not a perfect album by any stretch of the imagination. It's got a couple stinkers on there, but they're fun stinkers. But they're stinkers.
I think it's more the angle that this guy is going for that's
okay.
That's the interesting take on this. I'm gonna start off with the title. Kids, drugs are good for you sometimes.
I think I get where he's going with this.
Yep. So, most people are probably well aware of Motley Crue and their reputation for party and decadence throughout their career, especially during the 80s. Truth be told, however, what band in the 80s did not do something? The Crue just happened to get noticed a lot about their substance abuse because they managed to crank out some great albums through that decadent lifestyle. I almost said defecate lifestyle. Decadent lifestyle.
Decade of defecation.
Yeah. That's my new grindcore band coming soon. Then came 89. Things were changing around the globe, and some asshole got the brilliant idea that they should get sober, hence the album's title, Dr. Feelgood. After their successful yet rather mediocre Girls, Girls, Girls in 87, many fans were probably left confused about Crue's future. That album really seemed to divide their fan base into two camps, those who liked it, those who hated it. So when their sobriety and new album landed in 89, all those fans were going to find their answer. The album starts off with a short prelude to the album's title track, and it's actually a rather good sign that something's pretty good is about to come, and so it happens. A heavy, groovy metal beat kicks in, and the Crue hasn't sounded this heavy since their legendary Shout at the Devil album in 83. The female choir section from the previous record is still in the house as well, something I personally could have lived without, but it doesn't really sound out of place anyway, as this is a sing-along to the chorus. After this...
Female choir?
I think he means those two backing singers, but I don't know if they sing on that song. I think that's just Vince Neil's voice.
I don't know who all does the vocals there, but I don't think it's a choir of girls doing it. Yeah.
After this, my hopes are starting to get shattered once more. Once as the band kicks into Slice of Your Pie, or rather run.
That's a banger. That's a banger. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. It's a banger. Fuck this guy.
And it's got Steven Tyler on the little vocal there too.
I did not know that.
The very beginning of it, you hear him going, ah, ah. That's Steven Tyler.
I had no idea. Huh. You learn something new every day.
And my other favorite part of that song is at the very end of it. There's an homage to I Want You, She's So Heavy by the Beatles, and I really like that as well, because you even hear them. Is that the same song? Is that Slice of Your Pie that has that?
Oh my God.
And then you hear them go heavy, like it's an homage to the Beatles, and so that song's got so much going on in it, and it's just a fun rock and roll romp. How can you not love it?
Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to keep going because we got some juicy takes. Okay. Rather run-of-the-mill swinging style track that seemed to be a real standard among glam bands between 88 and 92. I just don't like these kinds of songs very much. This sound shows to be carrying on into the next track as well. I don't quite remember if the previous album had horn sections, but this album has that as well by now. Kickstart My Heart is up next and is one of the band's biggest hits, and while not nearly a favorite of mine, it's at least a lot better than the previous 2 tracks. After this point, it's once again continuing downhill run where the band delivers some more cheesy swinging tracks and of course the obligatory 2 or 3 cheesy ballads. And that is the 3rd paragraph. I'm going to let you
There's technically only one ballad on that album, and it's awesome. It's a great.
Without you.
It is great. Sure, little cheese ball, but what ballad wasn't really, you know? But he's probably referring to "Don't Go Away, Mad, Just Go Away," which that to me is one of my favorite.
Time for Change as well.
But even that's not really.
Yeah.
But that song is like the worst thing on the album, in my opinion. But "Don't Go Away, Mad, Just Go Away" is one of my favorite Motley Crue songs. I just think it's, and like that's one of those songs that when I first, later on in life when I started rediscovering a lot of music, I remember hearing that song again and thinking to myself, this is such an amazingly well-written song. There's no way that this was just written by Motley Crue. And I went and looked and I was like, holy shit, they wrote this. It wasn't, they didn't hire an outside songwriter like a lot of people were doing. They wrote that fantastic song. And I'm like, man, that's impressive because it really does. I don't know. I could go on and on about that one. I love that one.
Cool.
I haven't even gotten there yet. So far, this dude, it doesn't, I don't really disagree with anything, but once again, I feel like sometimes people are going in. I think I've brought this up before. It's like going to see a Pauly Shore movie expecting it to be The Godfather.
Yeah.
And so you go into it like, you know what? They didn't even, there was no sweeping crane shot anywhere in this Pauly Shore movie. And so it's like, I think this guy is going into it not wanting it anyway.
Yeah.
So why even review it? Just quit wasting our time. Yeah. And then we're wasting everybody else's time with this review.
Well, the good news is we're past the halfway point. So as a fan of their previous 4 albums, some more and some less, this album is really disappointing. Their music just seemed to lose its edge on this record, and I have only one answer to why that is. The drugs. While I certainly suppose a drug-free lifestyle...
Motherfucker, this dumb piece of shit has never heard Theater of Pain. It's like, right now that they're sober, they've lost their edge.
Yeah.
It's like, way to let everybody know fuck all of what you're talking about when you just decided to write a review.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, here is I suppose a drug-free lifestyle and all that. It just feels risky when a band market a new album as their first drug-free effort, when all of their previous albums were written and done under the influence. There do, however, come a few good things out of it as well. The band plays better than before, and the music does actually feel a lot more mature. The production is also top-notch, if a bit over-polished, but still heavy, especially the drums, and with crisp guitars. It's just that the old fire, the hunger, it all seems to be gone along with the drugs, and that certainly is a drag. Ultimately, this album ended my interest in Motley Crue. The songs tend to sound cheesy and uninspired, while the ballads are all cringeworthy, though they did and still will most likely appeal to glam metal chicks. The heavier ballad-esque tracks like Danger or Merry-Go-Round that were on their early records were like ballads for men in comparison.
Oh, okay. I see what I'm saying? They always tell on themselves at some point.
Incel. As I said earlier, the prelude and the title track are pretty sweet and sure to satisfy old fans. Other than that, I don't really find any truly good songs that I'll find myself listening to again. There are some bits and pieces here and there that are not too shabby, but they're very limited. Okay, use the wrong there. I hate to become the grammar guy, but this is a pet peeve of mine. And no matter what point you're making, you fuck up there, you've lost.
You know what? Like I've actually gotten over that. I don't I've started viewing the written word when it comes to like the internet. I've started to basically say, if I'm reading this aloud, would anybody know the difference?
I don't know, dude. I got to pass on this. This guy's takes are dog shit. But they're very limited and often buried in songs that are otherwise horrible. Check out the title track and perhaps kickstart my heart if you like catchy arena anthems. Other than that, there is not much of worth to be found here, and I do find it generous when I give it a 20% rating. And finally, sometimes drugs can actually be good for you. In the case of Motley Crue, they certainly were.
So this is another thing that I think is so funny, and this goes back to what I was saying before, where I think that people when music is really not their entire life, they don't really give things the thought that it needs. And I love it when people seem to think that there's this fantasy world where the band are currently fucked up on smack while they're writing songs. Now, that probably did happen with some bands, but I guarantee you that probably most of the songwriting of a lot of these and recordings, maybe they're doing a little bit of weed, but I guarantee you that Nikki Sixx didn't shoot up and then write a song. And like everyone seems to think that like, oh, that's all this music is written on drugs. And I'm just like, I mean, you don't know that. And I know that. Yeah, and I know that sounds better, but the if you think about it, and once again, coming from somebody that's done A, drugs, B, songwriting, it doesn't work that well. It's like there's some great shit. But you know, a lot of I think songwriters will tell you that there'll be those nights when you're fucked up on something that you write a song or lyrics, and then the next day you go back and you're like, holy shit, this is awful. What the fuck was my problem? Yeah, because you need to sober up a little bit and then write some music.
Oh, okay. Oh, I've found a juicy one. So,
okay. This is I like this because I don't have to do a goddamn thing. And
it's long though. It's very long. Let's see if I can.
What album is it for?
Master of Reality.
Oh, okay.
And I just feel like for metal guys to say bad things about Sabbath, it's kind of sacrilegious. Like about early Sabbath, I feel like this could really,
yeah, especially that album.
Yeah,
because like, yeah, I think of their first 4 albums, I think that's the most unfuckwithable. But I mean, that's just my opinion, though. I mean, I'm sure there's things people could nitpick at or whatever, but I'm trying to remember who
it's a long one, but yeah. I feel like let's dive in. I tell you what, if you want to stop me, put your hand up and interject, because this is a big boy. Okay.
All right. This is when everyone on TikTok put your thumb on it to speed it up.
Yep. And we're gonna put Subway Surfers or Kinetic Sand at the bottom half, and the actual video at the top. But you have something to stimulate your ADHD ass. I'm guilty of it myself. Have you seen YouTube's added like games now? So like if you're listening to a like video, like you can just
like this.
Such as this. You may notice now that you can play stuff like Angry Birds on the YouTube app.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you can. In a way, I'm guilty of it. I was watching something like earlier, like top 10 darkest moments in TV history.
Oh, I've watched those.
Yeah.
But none of our fans watch our videos on phones. They all watch them on their big TVs while they sit with a glass of wine. I think. Yeah.
Very classy. Classy people are fans.
What were we saying? Were we going to say something about the darkest TV moments?
I got sidetracked.
Okay, that's my
but
fault.
yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. The show's back on the rails. So we have more like master of repetition. Okay.
Okay, what year was this review? Obviously not the
2020
70s.
2021. With the music of today, complaining about an album from the 70s being repetitive does feel a little bit rich. I'm not even gonna lie. You know, there is plenty of great music out today, and I understand that. But the charts for the last few years have been peppered with extremely repetitive songs.
Well, let's not even say the charts. Fucking metal music.
Yeah.
So
Copy and paste sounding ass.
not to mention the hundreds of bands that are just sounding like the album that he's going to review.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Oh, but I suppose I might as well dive on in. An album that has reached this magnitude of worship over the years cannot receive a disinclined review lightly, and I have no intention of doing so. What I hope to avoid, however, are the standard conversation stoppers regularly employed by all Sabbath fans. First and foremost, being the magnificent claim that it must be like for its historical purpose. Importance, sorry. Some albums became so popular over time that saying anything bad of them has become like heresy now. This is likewise for albums that have developed a reputation for being awful. They have been so blindly accepted as good or bad that their caliber, or lack thereof, have developed the honorary but erroneous title of officially good or officially bad, and this has led to the following.
I'm not, you know what, that part right there, I agree. I agree that there should not be a default. You shouldn't look at somebody and go, of course you're supposed to say it's good. No, you're not. Yeah. You like what you like, but let's keep going.
Absolutely. And I want to clear up by saying my comment earlier about people saying bad things about Sabbath, like, I'm just saying as a general thing. I'm not saying that you have to like Sabbath. Yeah.
I don't ever hear anybody say anything bad about Sabbath. I can't remember unless it's the fact that they don't like that Ice-T is on a song in the 90s.
Yeah. They want Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit wasn't out yet. God. So there are some albums. Okay, so he or she puts here, they've been has led to the following unfortunate truth. There are some albums that you are not allowed to hate, and some albums you are not allowed to like. I critique an album as good or bad based on the album without any reference as to who made it or how influential it is/was. This will be one of those reviews. Black Sabbath's reputation does not make them invulnerable to unfavorable judgment, and their album will be judged on its own merits. Notoriety.
Get to the fucking point, dude. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I didn't come here to be edged. Diss the band. A word about Sabbath. To say that Black Sabbath is a band were ahead of their time is an understatement. This was the release that saw the band detune their stringed instruments, completing the intent rest established in the previous year. If you deem this album to be good because of the heaviness and stripped down raw feel, I have no issue with that. I am aware Black Sabbath created doom metal with this release. The problem is that they failed miserably as songwriters. I won't even say that this is a non-album. Master of Reality is an anti-album, where little to nothing happens, nothing is said, and little to nothing is done. An album that is literally about nothing. Vacus. Okay, what's your thoughts on that?
I think somebody trolled him and gave him the wrong album when he was listening to this.
Yeah. The truth is that you can fast forward through most of this album and not miss anything spectacular. 90% of it is totally dispensable, and the other 10% just doesn't matter. The phrase "nothing happened" can never be more literally stated about an Aussie era release than this. Think I'm just joshing?
Can't be literally stated at all because there's music on it.
Yeah.
Fucking turd. Quit. That's it. So, okay, so there you go. That's one of the things that I get annoyed at, the incorrect usage of literally. Because if it's literally nothing happened, it would be silence. You moron.
Duh. Think I'm just joshing? being contrary for the sake of it, then take off your obsession-based nostalgia goggles and take a look at the album's artwork. This is the same band who managed to snag a perfect visual representation on their debut by having one of the best album sleeves in all of music history. Yet just 2 albums later we get an artwork with just the title and nothing else. I guess they thought we would be happy that they are written in such a giant font, but no, the font is ugly, the colours are weak, and it reeks of laziness. About
the colors are weak. What? Why? What's
this guy is just assassinating this album's character right now, man. Like, about the only good thing I can say about this is that it does perfectly represent most of the music herein quite perfectly. At least the music that most like the album for. How is that? I know you're not asking, but this imminent slashing could be repeated for most of the album's songs. The opening track, Sweet Leaf, is a transparent ode to marijuana. Not only does it begin with a cough, but a cough produced by Tony Iommi after hitting a joint. Method music making, I suppose. So I can see how this song would be more of a relaxed affair. Its slight swing makes it excusable. There are no excuses, however, for why it has only 2 guitar riffs. 2, and are not only are there just 2, they are laughably simplistic and not even creative. This is not the driving melodic riff of Electric Funeral or Wicked World. This is just a couple power chords.
He only listened to the first minute of the song.
Yeah.
I mean, the song has it has a whole faster section.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So literally this dude, like, they're like, you know what? I envy people that can write, because I've always wanted, like, even back in the day when I wrote album reviews, I quit doing it because to write like 2 or 3 paragraphs, it would take me like a week, because
right.
I don't know how to word things, and then I second guess everything. So people that can just sit down and write some shit out, I envy them, because I think that's fucking cool. But when you have that ability, you also have the ability of having a lot to say, but not actually doing the work. Because, I mean, does he mention the whole last part of the song, or does he just move on from there, saying there's only 2 riffs in Sweet Leaf?
He's still going on Sweet Leaf. He kind of harps on this for a while. But here we have, let me state that there is nothing intrinsically wrong with being repetitive. It is a function of all music, but it is everything that is wrong with to be repetitive when moving at a snail's pace. Guys, clearly never heard any doom metal. This is not some experimental avant-garde piece where there are 7 vocal lines in a 12-minute suite. This is a tedious plodding song with tedious plodding music meant to be just a backdrop so as to shine the brightest light on, unfortunately, its worst performer, Ozzy, singing tedious plodding vocal lines. To my ears, it's never good to have Ozzy sing over slow music.
I mean, he did say to my ears, so you know that something's wrong with his hearing. So he brought it up right there.
It's like the whole fucking point where we are forced to listen to his voice. This would be successful in some cases from Volume 4 and Never Say Die. But here, Ozzy gives only 1 quality vocal performance, but more on that later. Now, as I wrote, Sweet Leaf is an ode. Fucking hell, man. This guy managed to milk an essay out of being wrong. Sweet Leaf is an ode to marijuana and its relaxing effects. So after, Ozzy, sounding like he has clothespin on his nostrils, forgets to carry a tune over a single riff repeated enough times to redefine the word monotony. The band suddenly forgets what drug they were writing about. Out of nowhere, there is a minute-long jam session, which I concede is not half bad, but why is it here? It might be due to the band not knowing how boring the song was and had to wake their audience and themselves back up and let Ozzy go backstage and pray for a better effort.
Wait, not knowing, they didn't know the song? What? So he's claiming that they.
I think I may have read that wrong. Let me recap that. Out of nowhere, there is a minute-long jam session, which I concede is not half bad, but why is it here? It might due to the band knowing how boring the song was and had to wake their audience and themselves back up. A prayer that went unheard. Proof there is no God. Oh man, we're on track one.
One song.
Now I will concede that this is the most fun part of the song, mostly because Ozzy is not singing. See, ruining the song. But what does that lead to? An exciting crescendo, a la Spiral Architect, NIB, or Sabracadabra. An ironic sudden shift in tone and style, a la The Straightener, Symptom of the Universal Johnny Blade. Several seemingly unrelated passages, a la Killing Yourself to Live, or The Writ. Nope. Just back to that single riff repeated until you loathe its very existence and those awful vocals. As I wrote above, that could describe the entire album. After Forever and Children of the Grave are the album's stronger moments, but like all other numbers, they fall somewhat flat because of two problems. First are the vocals, the way he ends the lyric lines in the verses of After Forever, or the unbelievably awful delivery during the opening lines for Lord of This World, which is a song that perfectly represents my second problem, the music. Bill Ward, Geezer Butler, and Tony Iommi are more than competent. They have proven to be reliable on two previous albums. The three of them begin Lord of This World with a bit of tense anticipation, and the entire song can be pointed for the claim that it redefined the word heavy in a musical context. No one in 1971 sounded like this, but like all of the compositions here, it fails to have any imagination. The opening musical stanza is tense but plummets immediately, returning to that snail's pace and going absolutely nowhere musically. Then Ozzy assaults your eardrums. This performance is one of the absolute worst in Ozzy's career, which is saying something considering the majority of his solo output. Oh, that is a dog shit take. Ozzy only ever got better as a vocalist. Jesus Christ.
But I.
You think this guy's beyond saving?
Yeah, like it's one of those things that you start forgetting that it's about an album and you're just focusing on how much of a douchebag this guy is.
Yeah.
Like it's literally like,
I didn't like it, so it holds no value to anyone else.
Well, it's just very like those people, they write stuff like they're very self-satisfied with their I don't know, their knowledge or whatever. And
hashtag I am very knowledgeable.
Yeah, and it just like it doesn't like there's a difference. There's like, there's opinions, there's I don't know, whatever, if you want to take it to other parts of the world or other parts of life, it's like it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong if you're just a douchebag about it. So it's like, this guy could write about how great this album is, but the way that he's writing, I'm just like, fuck you, dude. I don't even care if you're talking about how great Saint Anger is. I'm still like, you suck, dude.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hang with you, which is probably why you've honed your writing skills so much. But it's just, it's a daunting task listening to these kinds of words. Just gonna say it. Some people, I guess, could say that about our show. but yeah, you can keep going if you want. But I'm
quite invested now. I'm past the halfway point, so I'm like invested on seeing what the conclusion is. So, Children of the Grave is a highlight, but only musically. Ozzy is listenable on this track, but I have heard much better versions, so when I write listenable, mind you, it is only at the expense of being generous. It illustrates perfectly what I wrote before. When Ozzy is singing over an energetic composition, he can sound really awesome. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Sabotage are not only landmark releases, but even I, one of Ozzy's biggest critics, concede a large part was because of him. Whereas all of the 7 other albums released during Ozzy's original tenure had lots of energy, Master of Reality lacks both energy and experimentation. I do not know. I genuinely don't know what he means. Like,
I think once again, I think it's his interpretation of
one album.
But it's his interpretation of the word experimental. It's like he's assigning things to that term that he wants it to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think that like it's just not. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't. I could understand somebody preferring Paranoid over this album, or even honestly, I prefer Sabbath Bloody Sabbath over this album. But um, I don't know. A lot of what he's saying is just like I don't. Yeah, I really just think it was a mission to somehow negatively review this album, and that's what
Yeah.
he's doing.
Man, as much as I praise the music over the singing, they are just as guilty because nothing is spectacular here. And if you listen closely, you will hear that every idea on this album has been done before. Black Sabbath did nothing musically in regards to what? Black Sabbath did nothing musically in regards to metal on Master of Reality that was different from their previous material. The structure of the songs, the riffage, the plotting nature, the vocal melodies following identical guitar melodies. But the other 7 albums had diversity, whereas this one just plods along, each time riding 1 or 2 riffs throughout their entirety. Whereas the adventurous songwriting, everything about Master of Reality is bare bones, raw, and stripped down to a primitive form that meanders about aimlessly. That is fine for what it is, but this is heralded as one of the crowning achievements of a riff god. This is elementary stuff for Iommi. This was the best he could do at the time. After Forever has a progressive approach to it with dissimilar sections and all, but that had already been done on Hand of Doom. Into the Void does have a notable intro, a main rhythm pattern of D and E fifths, repetitive vocal melodies. As soon as you bring up D and E fifths, man, come on. In between these 2 chord forms, an entirely different progression in the middle and extended instrumental coda. But War Pigs had already checked each of those boxes. Of the 5, only 5 mind you, metal songs on this album, the one with the most riffs is Into the Void, with 5. 5! Again, this was the best Iommi could do at the time? Really? So that is
Well, so what are the first 2 albums? It's not like it's prog metal.
No.
Like there's repetitive riffs and sometimes a song that is just one riff.
Yeah.
But he's fine with that, I guess.
Yeah. I have no idea what he's driving at here. What else have we got here? So that is all of the metal songs on this release. The remaining 3 songs are, ironically, the most memorable, if for no reason they are absurdly different. I do appreciate the jingle Embryo being played before Children of the Grave. It is a deceptively goofy piece to happen before a serious and headbanging anthem. Orchid is a 90-second instrumental, which I love, being an enormous fan of classical guitar, especially
Oh God, could kill yourself.
I find this to be a beautiful little interlude. Yes. That leaves only Solitude. The one quality vocal performance I wrote about on way back when. The music is gentle but brooding, with a melodic and emotional flute played by Iommi. It is an insight like Orchid of what we could expect from Iommi. From then on, he set the world ablaze as a songwriter. But as the song is mostly known as the weirdest and original vocal performance of Ozzy Osbourne's career, at least with Black Sabbath, it literally does not sound like him at all. This is obviously due to the studio magic and vocal effects, but is so incredibly different that it led to repeated falsehood that Bill Ward sang the song. It has a dark mood and a thick atmosphere that, if nothing else, introduced me to a new instrument to the fold and evidence of what was to come. That was my angry old classical guy. I do bar mitzvahs. It is for that reason I fail to get what is so great about this album. The song with the most evolution, the most passion, and original idea was when they stepped into a slight Barry Manilow territory. Unless I am missing something here, the only notable songs are Orchid, being a classical guitar interlude, and Solitude, introducing the flute and the next evolutionary step from Planet Caravan. Otherwise, the real lasting legacy of Master of Reality is just the downtuning to C sharp for all the stringed instruments from then on, producing a much thicker and heavier sound. That is it. Sabbath have released significantly better albums. Feel free to interject at any point. Sabbath have released significantly better albums, including during the Aussie era. Just listen to any other. Yes, this album is historically significant, and neither do I find it an abomination as I might have made it seem. If you're a fan of metal music that routinely moves around like it's stuck in molasses, or smoked some of the finest Colombian red sweet leaf around, then this is right for you. If you're a fan of metal music that routinely places a vocalist at the forefront during his worst vocals in 20 years, then this is right for you. I concede the album's significance. There is no doubt many a young metalhead who were inspired greatly by the thundering rhythm section of it, down-tuned strings, and absurdly dark and heavy atmosphere. This was no doubt revolutionary, but like most things that have the right to own the distinction as the first of a kind, it is eventually surpassed in subsequent generations, as all of the tools available to make the original will be available and more advanced later on. Even Black Sabbath themselves would do music on the next two albums, as well as 18 years later, that is much heavier. Highlights: Solitude, Orchid, and Children of the Grave. Lowlights: Sweet Leaf, Lord of this World, and Into the Void. To have Lord of this World, Sweet Leaf, and Into the Void as your lowlights, I'm sorry, my guy, but I'm gonna break your legs.
Like I said, if he had just not been a complete douche, I could have probably understood some of the stuff that he was writing, but he literally shot himself in the foot for the entire time that he was writing that. Because like there are ways to point out things like that, because it's not a perfect album, you know,
No.
and Ozzy doesn't sound amazing on everything, and sometimes maybe the riffs are repetitive, but never to a point that it bothers me. It doesn't take away from the song. It creates a mood with the song. But like, that's what I'm trying to say, is that like do better, everyone. Anyone that writes reviews, just do better. Just don't write shit about shit that you're not interested in, and just get your point across while actually seeming like a likable human being. That's it. That's all I want you to do.
Oh, okay. Where
are we going now?
Well, I thought with that mention of Planet Caravan, I would jump to another band who did Planet Caravan. Pantera. And I have jumped onto the reviews of Far Beyond Driven. And I am currently looking for the
also not a perfect album. So if there's a negative review, I may agree with some things about it, but you know,
you always find the gold is in like the extreme lows where someone's got like a wild take. Oh, this is very recent. Far Beyond Downhill. 15%, and it was written in March 17th, 2023. So this thing is just over a year old. So this is recent.
All right.
Cool. So without further ado, it took me decades, but eventually I wrote my Cowboys from Hell review back in December 22, as it was time for me to say something about Pantera. Why I love them in the early 90s.
Why was it time? Who the fuck asked for this?
Why I loved them in the early 90s, but also why I really developed a distaste, euphemism, mid-90s, which has only grown worse with decades. Well, things started to go wrong in 1994 when Far Beyond Driven was released. The band had already become massive. You couldn't go anywhere metal-related without seeing Pantera shirts everywhere or hearing either Walk or Cemetery Gates. New bands were starting to mimic them, and even older bands had incorporated many Pantera-isms in terms of groovy rhythms and the more chugging guitars. Even some of my hardcore friends, who normally hardly played any metal, were all of a sudden into Pantera. Anyway, I heard Far Beyond Driven at a friend's house. He bought it the day it came out, which was it? Late March of 94? Something like that. So we went back to his house to listen, and I'm glad we did, so I never made the mistake of actually spending money on the, back then, expensive CD, and I bought the cheaper cassette, and I tried it so many times. I really tried, and tried, and tried. So I can't say it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know? The whole disliking a band's growing popularity makes it easier to dislike an album because I gave it a lot of chances. I wanted to get it. But alas, As Far Beyond Driven was such a huge letdown. Sure, the album started nicely with the up-tempo, energetic, strength beyond strength, but it was all downhill from there.
No, it's not. You shut the fuck up. That's like you. If you want to go later in the album and start talking about its weaknesses, that's fine. But first 4 tracks on that fucking album.
This is gonna piss you off. Are you ready?
Oh shit!
Becoming with that Korn intro.
What?
I'll repeat. Becoming with that Korn intro.
Korn as in with a K.
Korn. Yes.
The band that
hadn't hit the scene yet.
Well, 94 was their first album, right? Of Korn?
but it wasn't until later in the year, right? And this came out in March. Wait, Korn debut. Keep going.
So once again,
October 11th. So it wasn't even out yet.
Once again, I refer you to what I was talking about earlier. The riff to Becoming does not sound like Korn.
Nope.
Now, here's the thing. This person who doesn't understand songwriting or how songs work hears the noisy part and says, oh, that's Korn. Not talking about the hundreds of other bands prior to that had already been incorporating noise into their fucking riffs. Yeah. So this dude took what he thinks is the low-hanging fruit, which is Korn, and that's his comparison, which, see what I'm saying? Like, he could have just not said that. And he could have made his point, but his point is literally saying something sounds like something else to his ears. But that's, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, really, if we really want to start doing this kind of shit, then literally every review of every rock album ever in the world should be like, this just sounds like the Beatles.
Yeah.
Literally every fucking album. It's just going to be like, you know what? I feel like they're trying to do something different, but the fact that they have guitars and drums, it just sounds like the Beatles.
It's like calling Man in the Box by Alice in Chains an AC/DC ripoff because it has G, D, and A in it.
Yeah, so that's the shit. That's just that gets stuck in my craw. I'm just like, I hate sound-alike comparisons because they're almost always wrong. And I don't mean that in an opinion. I mean that as a fact. They are wrong.
This one is even bigger of a reach, right?
My dogs are pissed about it too. I'm telling you.
Fucking right. Like Becoming with that Korn intro, Good Friends and a Bottle of Pills with the Fear Factory intro, which never even turns into an actual song. 5 minutes.
Oh, God, I hate this guy. What? I don't even like that song. I would think remove that song from the fucking album. Good Friends and a Bottle of Pills. It's annoying. It has not aged well at all. So
I will say we have this running gag. Me and the boys in the band, Sage. We have a friend of ours. He's this guy who is like, he's a regular at the pub that they work at, and he's got a little something going on, but he's up for a laugh, and he's got a very distinctive, loud way of speaking, and he'll be like right behind you with his pint and his bag of crisps, and he'll be like, "Enjoying your night there, mate?" Like, and it's like, fucking hell, dude, where did you come from? But he's a nice chap, but we got to thinking about this. We were talking during rehearsal, and we had to stop and put our instruments down because we were laughing for a full 15 minutes. We just started thinking, if can you imagine if this guy fronted Pantera? Like, we basically just, Well, I guess you took my youth, and just like kept going back and forth,
Yeah.
back and forth. But the real killer was, I fucked your girlfriend last night. You know, and he's a nice guy. You know,
Yeah.
But
Lovely bloke.
Lovely bloke. He's got a very distinctive voice. Yeah, and he's usually always pissed, like pissed drunk, not pissed angry.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we go. Here's you got a three for 5 minutes alone sounded like what Skynyrd would have been had they been founding two later than they did. Doesn't specify 2 years or
What?
I have no idea. Not to mention the inspirationless dull video they made for it. The Meanderfest of 25 years slaughtered and I'm Broken, which brought chugging and grooving down to the dumbest sublevels. We're now 29 years later and I still don't get it when someone actually likes I'm Broken or why it was even nominated for a Grammy.
Oh my God. What the fuck? I mean, the guy is already established that he just knows fuck all about what he's talking about, but just wrote a review anyway. But, you know, great. Congrats.
To quote myself from an earlier review, Pantera settled for the common denominator of groove, gruff, and angry. It was so utterly boring. Use My Third Arm at least had a fast part in it. Still a dull song though. Song number 6, Hardline Sunken Cheeks, was the first on which something even remotely interested happened. There are actually a few riffs in it. Wow. Thank you for at least trying. Not a good song, but at least it kind of tells a story and takes its time. Same goes for Shedding Skin, one of the best songs here. Would have been filler on the previous 2 albums though, but on Far Beyond Driven it is a highlight. Far Beyond Driven made the fillers on Cowboys from Hell and Vulgar Display of Power seem like masterpieces. Quite an achievement. Pantera went from refreshing, 1990, via influential, 1992, to Neanderthal within a mere 4 years. Well done. Sarcasm. Don't expect anything.
Did he have to write sarcasm?
Yeah, he wrote sarcasm.
Fucking God.
Don't expect anything as remotely dynamic or good as Cemetery Gates or This Love on this album. I think they drank away the last remains of their sensitive side somewhere on tour in 93. Also, Anselmo's vocals had gone downhill quite a lot and quite fast. Ever since 1990, he tried to be more badass than any previous album, but I honestly think in 94 he couldn't even sing Rock the World anymore, even if he actually tried. Within 6 years, a good vocalist had disappeared and was replaced by some angry bald dude. Even compared to the previous 2 albums, a lot of vocal quality and diversity is just gone, especially the songs.
All right, you know what? I'm behind him on this part. I agree with that. If there's one thing that keeps me from being super excited about later Pantera, it's mostly Phil Anselmo, because the music is all I don't get any gripes about the music, because I think whatever they were going for, whether it was just groove or creating a riff kind of around an odd noise or whatever, it was always really well done. And Phil's the only guy that once you get, it's a little bit on Far Beyond Driven, but once you get to Southern Trendkill, some of it's insufferable. Like it's just take that out and the song would be so much fucking better.
Yeah,
but that's just once again, that's just my opinion. People fucking love Trendkill, and I'm not going to stand in their way. You know,
Trendkill next to Cowboys is my favorite Pantera album, but it is pretty one note on the vocal end, you know, with the exception of Suicide Note Part 1. But where am I at? Even compared to the previous 2 albums, a lot of diversity is just gone. Apart from his bad boy gruff vocals, he does some mumbling. There's Shedding Skin again, and even kind of sings on Planet Caravan. Listening back in 23 to this album, I think even less of it as I already did in 94. So it hasn't grown on me, nor has it some explainable historical emotional value. 3 decades later, I still think Far Beyond Driven is a depressingly bad album. I'm going to put on Cowboys and Vulgar now to at least end this day with some good Pantera memories. Stand out, Strength Beyond Strength, Shedding Skin, Planet Caravan.
once again,
I don't think he likes it.
Once again, there's some good points in there, but people just need to like just don't. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, like that album, I will agree with him that I don't think it's aged as well as Cowboys and Vulgar has for me.
So, agreed. Agreed.
But the parts of it that I do love, I think have gotten stronger with me over the years, because I'm Broken is a fucking amazing. Slaughtered is one of my favorite Pantera songs. But yeah, I mean, I can get gripes, but yeah, there's, man, if the dude just didn't write like a douche, I wouldn't have that much to say against it, except for it's just personal opinion at this point, because I'm just like, I think the album's really good, but it does have a couple tracks that if I could go back in time and I was their producer, I'd be like, don't put those on the albums. You got other ones? It's like,
yeah.
Just because but this is all just like, two tracks, as the young people say, give me the ick.
Yeah.
Can you guess which two the ick comes from on this album? Obviously, Good Friends and a Bottle of Pills gives me the ick.
I'm guessing it's Throes of Rejection.
Yeah. Yes. Because that is like the incel anthem.
yeah. And just, like, I can't lie. I love Vinnie Paul's drums on that song, but the lyrics are distracting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Musically speaking, like every Pantera song, I'm gonna go all the way back to Metal Magic, all the way through. I'll even throw in Damage Plan. It's just really great metal. Whatever they were going for. Were they more glammy? Were they trying to be a little more hardcore? Were they trying to be more groove? I just think that musically speaking, those three dudes, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir probably for a lot of people, but the weak point of Pantera has always been vocals for me. Even though I would say probably Cowboys from Hell is probably the only one that I don't think has any sort of weak things vocally, but also Phil was way more dynamic of a vocalist. But that he did bring up that good point. It's like, even back in the day, I just remember like the next Pantera album would come out and I'd be like, and you would see live footage.
Where's the Jeff Tate impression gone, Yeah.
Well, you would see, but you would even see live footage of them in what's supposedly in their prime, and I'd be like, he already couldn't sing shit.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, obviously, it's like, screaming a whole bunch. It's substance abuse, alcohol, smoking all the fucking time, and I mean, it takes its toll on you. But for a fan, it was a little bit disappointing. But once again, I don't. You know what? Whoever's watching this, like, I read reviews, I watch, occasionally other people's videos, and I always think to myself, man, when I do my shit, I want to like not come across like a douchebag. If I do come across like a douchebag, I would like to know about it. You're probably wrong, but but I would just, but because like that's the shit that really annoys me, because I don't like, I hate critics first off, because most of them don't write from a genuine place. I really don't think anybody's being genuine. Most people, some are very genuine with their, but and when I guess what I mean by genuine is like, do the fucking work. And if what you're talking about isn't something that you're interested in doing the work for, you just want to write it, don't do it. Just don't do it. You're wasting your life. Your life. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Should we do one more negative one before we do some positives?
Yeah, let's do. Yeah, I think maybe we should just do one or two positives
Okay, sounds
after
good.
after we do the one last negative. But what are we? Because I have a positive that I would like to request.
Okay,
If it's on there after we do this
Okay.
negative.
cool. Sounds good. So I've got The Real Thing by Faith No More.
Okay. Well, all right. So are they going to mention Corn and Limp Bizkit?
Just wait. I want to see how far into this review I can get before you interject with utterly disgusted.
Okay.
All right.
It's possible. It's possible that this will be. I'll just end the episode early. I'll be so enraged.
Well, this one is 10% review.
10%. Okay.
Simply titled Barfs.
Not even trying to be clever. It's just barfs.
Okay.
All right.
So let's. Holy crap! This is horrible. I don't even mean on a metal basis. This album doesn't even fit into that mold, but it is by far one of the most irritating, boring shit stains on music I have ever heard. Now, I won't judge this on a metal level, because to be honest, this album isn't metal. Sure, there is the odd bit of metalness here and there, but if Faith No More were to be added to the archives based purely off this album, they would have been rejected. I hope to God that their earlier records were far more metal than this. If not, there is some heavy hypocrisy in the house. The guitar on this one is pretty crap, if I do say so myself. This is going to sound a lot more convincing in a Dave Mustaine voice. It's generally your funky, generic alternative rock riffs downtuned. Total fucking dooklaw. Every once in a while you get some half-thrash groove metal. Ew. Riffs on songs like Surprise You're Dead and The Real Thing, and some melodic acoustic bits here and there, but they all fall short of anything musically interesting, to be quite honest, even for funk rock. No solos or anything remotely impressive, typical of alternative rock.
Yeah, I mean, it really does sound like a review that some Dave Mustaine fillator.
Total waste of skin and life. The bass work is actually the only saving grace on this album. Seeing as the band is influenced by rap and funk more than anything else, this is quite an important feature, and thus they needed some proper work. The bassist displays lots of skills such as popping and slapping, keeping up with the fast bits, and being the core of the music, as the guitarists aren't skilled enough to play their instruments properly. Well, it's one guitarist, so this guy hasn't done his research. The drumming is okay. It only really fills in for what is necessary, but the fact he is drumming in funk style gets points it is rhythmically complicated. Mike Borden is a fucking monster behind the kit, so, He is absolutely incredible. And this album is a real showcase. Strong disagree on that. The vocals. Holy crap. I don't think there is a rock singer on this planet with a more annoying voice than Mike Patton. Between his horrid white trash rapping, he has this very nasal, high-pitched voice that irritates the crap out of me, and I'm sure plenty of others. Find a cat, hold its nose, and then pull its tail really hard so it yells out a loud nasal noise. This is the equivalent of Mike Patton's voice. Try mixing the worst parts of Ozzy Osbourne and Motley Crue's Vince Neil voices together into one, and you have Mike Patton's voice. The lyrics aren't too bad. Nothing really deep or meaningful, but it's better than anything Bal Sagoth or some other epic weirdo can whip out. Bal Sagoth? Bal Sagoth? Is that a Black Sabbath diss?
What?
But it's better than anything Bal Sagoth or some Bal Sagoth. It's spelled B-A-L dash.
Hold on. B-A-L.
And then a dash. S-A-G-G.
S-A-G-G.
O-T-H.
It's a band.
Oh. The lyrics aren't too bad. Nothing really deep or meaningful.
Bal Sagoth.
Or some other epic weirdo can whip out.
a band from Yorkshire, England, formed in 1993. What the fuck kind of a pull is that? Read the line that has this band name in it again.
The lyrics aren't too bad, nothing really deep or meaningful, but it's better than anything Balsagoth or some other epic weirdo can whip out.
Okay, I
feel like he was having
I understand
lobotomy like halfway through this fucking thing.
In his head, I think that he had a point, but it's literally like saying, like, when I hear this album, I think of like my cousin's band that you've never heard of, right? Am I right? Am I right?
Jesus, man. I'll admit this band is quite ballsy in mixing alternative rock, funk, and groove metal, and at some points lounge music into one thing, but the problem is that they all fall flat on their face while doing so, not to mention their horrid rendition of War Pigs. Their guitar section is obviously very weak. The guitar section is obviously very weak skill and talent-wise. Well, this guy's obviously very weak skill and talent-wise in terms of grammar. So, and I can't stress how much Mike Patton sucks at life. Have you seen how successful he is?
Well, so I'm assuming just from this review.
This review is from 2009, by the way.
But in 2009, this was the only thing that Mike Patton had done that this person had ever heard.
Yeah.
Now, here's another thing. I guarantee you that before they went in to do this review, they had already at least heard Epic before.
Yeah.
And they probably didn't like it, which is why they should never have reviewed this fucking album. It's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, I don't like this, I'm going to review it. No, it's not something that you would even want to listen to. Yeah.
You're going in wanting not to like it, so your takes are fucking redundant as a result.
It's not helpful at all to somebody that might actually be interested in the kind of music Faith No More are doing to come in and say, I don't like this kind of music, here's my review. And it's like, I'm going to start reviewing like classical music. I'm just going to do like Mozart. This shit has no riffs anywhere. I didn't hear a guitar solo anywhere in Beethoven's Fifth.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, that is such a stupid sentence. Their guitar section is obviously very weak skill and talent-wise, and I can't stress how much Mike Patton sucks at life. Yeah. For one, Mike Patton is one of the most successful and versatile vocalists out there. And secondly, there's only one guitarist in this band. Like, and he's great. Like,
I mean, once again, what are they normally listening to? Apparently, Balsagoth is what they're listening to normally.
He hasn't even talked about the keyboards yet. I haven't seen that yet.
All right, well, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
The bassist and drummer are the only two redeeming factors in this band, and in all honesty, they should have hired better musicians than the two jokers that is their melodic section. I don't like awarding points for influence. When I give points, I base it merely off how the music sounds. But I should
once again, the writer having to point out how important how fucking smart they are with the way that they look at things, and it's like, but you shouldn't.
Oh, you mean like a music review? Yeah, good, buddy. Yeah. But I should point out that this is where nu metal started. Here we go. Here we fucking go. Here's the guy. There's every possibility this is the same guy from the last review. Let's have a look here. I don't like awarding points for influence. When I give points, I base it merely off how the music sounds. But I should point out that this is where nu metal started. Not with Pantera's Walk, as some people like to say. This is the sole
Nobody
creation.
says that.
No, nobody says that. No one has ever said that. This is the sole creation of nu metal right here, and it's quite apparent, just so you know. Overall, this is...
I'm sorry. I just like... Jesus.
No, but by all means, step in. I've got one like little paragraph left.
Oh, motherfucker. So, you could say that one of the, I guess bands that sort of planted a seed that would birth new metal may have been Faith No More. In fact, I think it's easy to say that, but
It's a mixture of Faith No More and Rage Against the Machine, I'd say.
Rage Against the Machine, way more than Faith No More.
Yeah.
But even with Rage Against the Machine, well, I mean, maybe you could probably put a lot of the blame on Rage Against the Machine because it's more directly related to the music that would be new metal. Whereas Faith No More is not like it at all. It's funk metal. Just because there was rapping in other funk metal. And so it's another one of those things where like, somebody has
into it wanting to just shit on it.
But there's also that thing where like it becomes this somebody in some, bloviating jerk off journalist wrote a book back in the day that said something about Faith No More beginning new metal, and countless, moron after moron repeats this stuff till it becomes this really huge ball of bullshit, and people that don't really think about things just take that ball and roll it. Like it's just like Faith No More, new metal started here. And I'm just like, no musical genre can be pointed to a band that only has an element or two of what became the genre. Yeah. And so like, that's why I'm saying like, if you talk about like, when people say like doom metal and then they point to Master of Reality, I go, I get it. Because there's all kinds of qualities are the same there, and it makes absolute sense. So it's like, to be fair, like new metal started with Korn, or you could say Rage Against the Machine. But I would even go more with Korn, because I don't think that new metal would have been what it was without Korn. I think that the boom of it all was because of them.
I would say alternative metal was born with Faith No More, I mean, or they're at least like one of the early parts of that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that because that album was really successful and a lot of people heard it. And that's the other thing that you have to think about when it comes to a genre being born, or bands that sound similar, whatever that might be, is that you also have to point out like bands that were actually popular, because you have to understand that there's not everybody is reading a punk fanzine in 85 to go like, oh, this is where all of this music started from. Everyone clearly heard this band that was not on anybody's radar whatsoever. And so it's like, I don't know. I get, once again, it's just another one of those things. I'm just like, it's people simplifying things too much. And I know I'm the one with the problem, because music is my life. And so I feel like it's way more important than other people talk about. Yeah. People like to make things so like, oh, this is this. And I'm the first person to go, why can't it be multiple things? Or, it's like, I don't know. That's just, I have a headache, man.
Well, anyway, I can cap this off with a very very mature way to close this one out. It says, overall, this is one of the worst albums I've ever listened to, and I hope to never hear it again. I have no idea what sort of musical interest you have to possess to actually like this, as it's just pig squeal. Hell,
what?
I think he doesn't know what a pig squeal is, so he just, he used it in a negative way. Hell, I love 70s funk. George Clinton for the win. And some alternative rock. So
I love 70s funk, and he pulls like the top of the pile, like George Clinton, right? He's a guy that made funk. Listen to how knowledgeable I am about music. Oh my God, fuck off.
Yeah, I'm not just some closed-minded metalhead here, but this is just really bad. Avoid. Sounds like you're a closed-minded metalhead. I
don't know. I mean, he sounds just like an utter piece of garbage, really, but whatever.
Okay.
Once again, I could there are things in that. Mike Patton's vocals, out of everything Mike Patton has ever done, that's my least favorite vocal performance of Mike Patton is on that album.
Yeah, I get that.
But I don't know. Once again, that album has grown with me over the years, and so I just know that that's just what it sounds like, and I like it. So I don't really care. But
it would feel incomplete to me at this point if the vocals were redone. Like,
absolutely agree.
Yeah, like just let it be. Let it be. Let it be.
See, they sound just like the Beatles.
Yeah.
It's like they got a drummer and a guitar player and a bass player, and then there's people that sing. They might as well just call themselves the Beatles.
Okay.
Can I make my request for a good review just because I want to be put in a good mood and I want to hear a good review of something?
Please do.
Can you find if there is a 100% review of Turbo by Judas Priest?
You motherfucker! I was thinking the exact same thing.
I would
Turbo.
very much like to hear that.
Judas Priest. I know that glam is a bone of contention on this fucking website. You know.
But there's got to be somebody that's whatever the highest number is. Let's read that one.
Okay, let's have a look here. 20, 80, 93, 50, 85, 0, 29, 55, 55, 58, 55, 10, 29, 73, 82, 80, 77, 75, 80. 95% is the highest. Full throttle, yes I am. Yes I am.
Yeah.
Full throttle, yes, I am alone on this one. It's the full thing. Okay.
No, you're not. No, you're not, sir.
You got two turbo lovers over here.
Oh, we are turbo lovers. Yeah, better run for cover.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, while we're on the subject, I got to thinking the other day. You know that part in the guitar solo, I can't stop now. I've started. It's later than I remember, but I'm gonna use it as an example. Is that the same technique as Steve Stevens used on
is it White Wedding or Rebel Yell?
The toy gun. Like, you stuck it to the pickups. That's what.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's actually like a toy ray gun that they had on hand, and he was like, "Hold my beer," just doing all this lead playing, and then
that's
really cool.
That is pretty cool. I did not know that, but yeah, they are very similar.
I think there is every possibility. Probably a bit more produced though. Either way, Judas Priest, Turbo, 1986. Here is a little lesson in the music industry. 1986 was the year that everyone began spiraling downward with their voice like me. Everyone began experimenting with synths and drum machines. Bands like Halloween from Detroit and even Iron Maiden began to dabble into the mainstream with these keys to disaster. Although, whoa. I like the Iron Maiden synthy stuff. Although Halloween and Maiden pulled it off without ever compromising their roots. Okay. He saved it.
Got it.
It was metal mixed with the typical mid-80s sound. They moved with the times and mixed the elements. Priest, on the other hand, went all out commercial in 85 with the start of the Turbo record. This was no dabbling into commercialism. This was like a fat kid doing a cannonball into the shallow end of the pool. Not a very pretty scene, is it now? Turbo is not entirely awful. In fact, it has some pretty worthy cuts. But back in 86, it looked as if Priest were riding the murky wave of commercialism. The album kicks off with a track that I hate with a burning passion.
I want to get... Oh, God, I was about to give him a compliment, and he's going to ruin it. Yeah. Because the way that he worded that thing, it looked like they were, trying to be commercial. Which is like, that is the kind of writing that I appreciate, because he was not in the room with them when they had their discussions, and he doesn't know that there was a Judas Priest discussion where they go, you know what? The kids love the synths, and we want money. They say, whereas like that's what everyone thinks that Metallica, Megadeth at one point, or whatever band, they literally think that they have a meeting where they go, look, we need more money. We're gonna have to change the way we sound. And so but you're not in the room with them. You don't know what went into it. And they probably just wanted to make this music. So the fact that he wrote, it seemed like, I'd be like, cool. But then he's about to trash Turbo Lover. Is that what he's about to do here?
Okay, so let's dive on in. The album kicks off with a track that I hate with a burning passion, the annoying Turbo Lover.
Oh God! I thought that was good. This was supposed to be a happy occasion. And fuck, bait and switch.
Yeah, I'm puzzled so far. This is a 95% review, but I'm sure he's gonna like praise the rest of the album. This song is devoid of any life that Priest once had. This is more of a drum machine-driven, synth-laden, radio-friendly tune that gets on my nerves due to the overuse of the song by my local station. Oh, so it's overplay. It is not a bad song in moderation, but every day gets a little tough for a diehard Judas Priest fan like me. The next song is also very 1986-ish, but the tempo is kicked up a notch, and that is where it stays for most of the album. The album is virtually devoid of any traditional Priest numbers that hark back to the days of Stained Class. The only one that seems right on the album is the 6.5 minute Out in the Cold. Whoa, I fucking love that song. With that, the number is still laced with sappy synthesizers that tend to get a little bit obnoxious at times. Processed guitar synths are another thing that is rampant on this record. Go and listen to the beginning of Locked In. That is what I'm talking about here.
Can we? I mean, it's 2024, and in over 30 years, well over 30 years, nobody has successfully made music like this. It is, and isn't it about time that I understand maybe if you were an 18-year-old kid in 1986 and your favorite band is Judas Priest and this comes out, maybe you would have been really annoyed and pissed off. But when was this review written? Did it say?
2011, December 13th, 2011.
So even in 2011, that's 30 years, for 20 over 20 years.
25 years, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the 80s in general.
Yeah.
And like I feel like it's that's another thing that I want to figure out how to reprogram everybody to be like, look, can we enjoy it for the fact that like, I mean, so many songs on fucking Turbo are amazing. I love this album so much, but
yeah,
it's a fucking whole vibe that you're not gonna get anymore. So it's like, so that's why I'm saying like it's the same thing with like when I talk about 80s Kiss, and I'm just like, I want to put that shit on because nobody's making that shit anymore. And if they're trying to, they're not doing it right most of the time. It's very rare. And so, you know,
I will say I've checked out that the latest Wanted album.
Oh,
and
yeah, Wanted. Which they're very when this comes out, and my interview with them will already be out. They've got that cool Great White Dawkins, not Great White, White Lion Dawkins kind of marriage going on there. Yeah.
And you know, with a little bit of Bruce Kulick on the you know. Bruce Kulick isn't in the band, but like there are parts where I'm like, is that fucking Bruce Kulick? Like there's some very Kulick lead playing on it, and I really like it. But anyway,
but here's the thing: that band is doing it right, in my opinion. But oh man, I almost feel like I want to fucking write them an email and be like, hey, guys, for your next album, can you get a keyboard player? Because if anyone's gonna bring this shit back,
it's gonna be these guys.
Somebody's got to do it anyway. But then my point is that like I think that the reason why I appreciate a lot of this music, and maybe I can look past the fact that this doesn't sound like metal, is because like I'm listening to it and I go, it's really fun, and it's a vibe that's like exists in this period of time that's just
Yeah.
so enjoyable. And like, I want everybody else to be able to like open their minds and their hearts and just be like, look, just fucking enjoy yourself for once in your goddamn life and listen to Turbo. Okay. That's gonna be. They should literally just put that on the hype sticker on all subsequent pressings of Turbo. It's just gonna say, "Just get over yourself and start enjoying life for a change." And it's gonna Turbo. That'll be the new version of it. You guys can have that. I don't need to get paid for it. It's all right.
Can I share a bit of a hot take?
Yeah.
So the Turbo 30th anniversary pressing has an updated album cover,
which I don't like.
There is a
As
part
much.
of me. There is a part of me that kind of likes it. Like I'm not gonna lie. To me, it looks more 80s to me like that than it does. It's like kind of a like photo negative kind of vibe going on. But I'm honestly, it goes from what looks like a peppermint hand job to something that's like really. I feel like the colors reflect what's on it a bit more. You know,
Man, if we had a time machine, you and I would
guys,
travel.
Just make it purple. Make it purple. Like
No, dude, I was my brain went in a totally different place. I was like, we're gonna go back in time, and I'm gonna go to find Rob Halford and be like, "Can you please name it Peppermint Hand Job, please?" I know Turbo Love is a great song. You don't need to call the album Turbo. Let's call it Peppermint Hand Job,
dude. I mean, every time I've ever looked at it, that's all I see. I know some people are like, they're shifting gear. Come on, pal. Come on, pal.
Yep.
Yeah, very Sonny Crockett of me there.
It's like some of the reviews we've read have been people that have been shifting their gear while they were fucking writing.
I have often wondered if anyone's ever had us on in the background while they're getting it on.
Oh shit! I don't know. Anybody want to confess to that? That's listening? And have you had sexy times with an individual of your choice while we were on?
Here's a personal message. Hey, keep pumping.
keep busting.
Yeah, keep busting, boy. Bust all over the wall.
Busting makes me feel good. Okay.
Put that boogie in your bus. Okay. There is no real guitar sound on the album, and if there is, the lucky chance, it is only about a few seconds long. The only song devoid of these is my personal favorite, Reckless, the album's closing track. I fucking love Reckless. Hey, did you ever hear that apparently it was supposed to be in Top Gun?
I think you told me that. I didn't know that, but I think you told me that before.
I'm not sure. I can't remember if it's true or not. If I was talking out of my ass, but like I remember thinking this has soundtrack vibes to it. I'm gonna look it up, and I remember seeing something about it, being considered for Top Gun because it came out the same year.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Reckless. This has to be the track that makes everything worthwhile on this relatively boring glam metal platter. The only reason that this gets a rating above 70 is because of the effort. This album really shows the effort Priest showed. There is a good amount of great guitar work, but is obscured by the guitar synthesizers. The vocals are in top notch from here. They are loud and proud as always in the delivery from the metal god himself, Mr. Rob Halford. I have 2 copies of this record. One is on the original Columbia pressing CD, and the other on the remastered CD version that features an amazing outtake, All Fired Up, which is a great road rage song from personal experience, and a worthless dime a dozen live version of Locked In that sounds almost identical to the studio version, guitar synths and everything. The lesson here, kiddies, is don't sell out. Not everyone will like it. It is a lucky thing that I liked it a lot. It is a rare occasion. I have not met another person that likes this album who also has a mind for early Priest. Don't give in to the big labels that makes you look like suckers for the money. Will I ever place this above Stained Class or Sad Wings of Destiny? No
yes.
way.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's above both.
Yeah. Dude, my hot take. 80s Priest is best Priest. Like,
yeah.
that's
I agree. And I've grown to really like 70s Priest as well. But
Yeah.
but 80s Priest is just something else.
Yeah, it's for me. There is an element of, I don't know what it is. Like I love and appreciate Judas Priest all the way through, but like there are a few moments on the '70s albums where I think it's kind of goofy, you know. And this is coming from someone who's like one of their first obsessions with a band was Judas Priest.
Yeah.
And even back then I was kind of like, I find myself drifting more towards Defenders of the Faith than I do Stained Class. You know, it's just how I'm wired up. It's just how I'm wired up. But
that like trio of albums, Defenders, Turbo, Ram It Down, like that's the best. Just for my pure enjoyment, those are my favorites. But I also, love Point of Entry and I think Point of Entry is super underrated, honestly. But that's just me.
That album has the unfortunate position of being sandwiched between British Steel and Screaming for Vengeance. It's kind of like the forgotten redheaded stepchild of the,
which is weird because I like it better than both of those albums. But I think that I don't know.
So us.
I'm not trying to be a contrarian either. Like it's literally just that's literally enjoyment. That's why Anyway,
someone gave Ram It Down a 100. Do you want me to quickly rattle that one off too? Being as Turbo and Ram It Down were originally intended to be a double album.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Again, this will just be a nice, refreshing take because pretty much on every Priest forum I have ever seen, this is like either a forgotten album or a shit on album, and I disagree.
No, I agree. I also disagree. I mean, you can talk shit about Johnny Be Good any day. I'm fine with that. But but that's only because I don't really even think that's a good song anyway. any version of it. I think Judas Priest is probably the best version of that song I've ever heard.
I do love this. I do love the solo in that song. All of the little extra flair they put on that. But it is definitely a goofy inclusion. Obviously, okay. So this is Harder Than Ever, 100% by Dark Tale from December 20th, 2011. Obviously, there is no need to introduce the band, but it is worth to bring Nearer This Diamond among other Judas Priest albums. In my opinion, this release shows the greatness and quintessence of all Priest stuff. Being such a good album, it is also one of their most underrated work at the same time. Maybe underrated isn't the right word, but for sure it's some of their less well-known records. Originally planned to be released with Turbo as a twin album, it was finally published 2 years later as Ram It Down. It's quite interesting that all the songs from Ram It Down were recorded during the Turbo sessions. Between those albums is a deep gulf as they are completely different. Fortunately, they were separated and released singly. The next thing is that after releasing Turbo, the band moved to a more commercial sound. They needed an album that would help go back to the top and repair their image. The gods came to fight for domination and the hearts of their fans.
But do they? So this is one of those things where I haven't been a huge Priest fan for a long time, so I don't know. Did anyone from Priest ever come out and say Turbo was them trying to sell out and Ram It Down was them trying to do damage control from Turbo? Have they ever actually said that?
I've always seen the visual similarities between the Ram It Down album cover and the Painkiller album cover as sort of a bridge. Yeah. I've always thought Ram It Down is definitely we're becoming a bit more metal again.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get heavier again. But for now we have this batch of songs that are harder edged than the previous album. So I can definitely see that happening.
But I just think I think I just get annoyed when people make those assumptions that Ram It Down was them or whatever band it is. It's them trying to get back to their sound. Well, they could have also just gotten that out of their system and decided to write different songs. And so it annoys me because I just think that's minimizing a band's output. I mean, any fucking band. I don't care who they are. If they put the fucking work in, I just, you're if you haven't done it, then just, I don't know just be a little more open. Fuck, I don't know. Man, I'm gonna take a nap after this.
I will say, and this isn't part of the review, but it came on in the car the other day, and I immediately just went both windows down, volume cranked up and ripped off, and that is Come and Get It. Come and Get It it's just a party,
Yeah.
Like, it's just so fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, this disc contains a few of my all-time favorite Judas Priest songs, such as I'm a Rocker, Hard as Iron, Monsters of Rock, and Come and Get It. Awesome song. Each of them are powerful and fast, especially Hard as Iron, which is probably the best song here, by the way. Although here we can find slower ballads such as Blood Red Skies. Fucking
Yeah.
the reason that I was so bewitched by this is the second song, Heavy Metal. The intro solo belongs to my favorites, as well as I believe it is the best solo in the genre. Recorded with the classic lineup, this material is high quality and contains 10 songs, all worthy representatives of Priest's creativeness. Let's move on further. Ram It Down has become a classic speed metal song, straightforward metal from start to finish. The next song perfectly captures the content of heavy metal. When your head will survive after the gorgeous and ridiculously fast intro, you will know why Judas Priest members are called metal gods. Then the tempo slows down in Love Zone, allowing a rest.
Yeah.
The next giant song, Come and Get It, a song where Tipton and Downing.
Why did he just breeze by Love Zone? Come on, man.
Oh, Love Zone's fucking great. I'll tell you what, Love Zone and Love You to Death are just some of the horniest songs I've ever heard in my life. Like, honestly, they put Motley to shame at times,
Yeah.
Like that, how does the intro to how does it go? Like, it's just, yeah. It's stripper music. It's absolutely stripper music. I mean, Love Zone, allowing a rest before the next giant song, Come and Get It. A song where Tipton and Downing spin up to fall with a flourish into Hard as Iron, the fastest and the best song on Ram It Down. After this anthem, the tempo slows to introduce a pair of slower but very interesting ballads, I'm a Rocker and Monsters of Rock. Finishing, I would like to mention that this album is way better for me than Painkiller. He didn't even mention Love You to Death, man. That song fucking rules. My final remark is that this masterpiece will always be in the shade of other Priest albums, and the content is inversely proportional to popularity. If you want to hear Essential Judas Priest, get it right now. I support it.
I'm with him.
Crushes.
I don't I have very little. No, good review, dude. It was he didn't mention Johnny B. Good,
and he didn't need to. Cool. So I think is that our last one? Are we wrapping this episode up?
I mean, we're pushing 2 hours here, so that's
cool.
Everyone's got lives they got to get back to. They can just listen to us babble on for hours.
I will say, if there's one thing I would like to do, is at some point I would like to dedicate an entire episode to Lulu. I want to read.
Oh my God! Okay.
All of them. I want to mine.
Is that even in Encyclopaedia Metallum?
It's classed as a Metallica album, so it counts.
Okay.
As far as I know, bands like Great White and Rat are not in Metal Archives. Let me have a look. Let me see if Rat are in Metal Archives.
Rat.
There's Rat Black and Steel Rat. Rat. 2007 to present. Rat Black. Formed in 2013, years active 2013 to Rat Black. What is Rat Black?
Wrong rat, everybody.
Wrong rat. Cool. So I think that's enough.
Yeah, that's enough.
You got what you wanted. Now get out, you fucking head.
So that was that's I feel like the last time we did this, we got some good a good response. So in the comments, let us know, like, should this be a regular thing? When I say regular, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe every couple months we throw one of these out there or something like that. Maybe a little bit later.
We're prepping a big boy of a ranking coming soon. So
and one of us needs to do some work,
and you won't want to miss a thing.
You won't. Okay. You won't want to close your eyes or fall asleep.
You won't want to fall asleep.
No, because you're gonna miss it,
baby.
You don't you don't want to miss a thing. Anyway, hi. Or goodbye. So that's
yes, Cranked and Ranked. Welcome to today's episode. That was the intro.
No, this was called Reviewculous.
That was just a cold open. We haven't even played the credits yet.
No. Reviewculous, aka negative online reviews that we react to. That's the best title I could come up with. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments. And you know what? I'm also going to do a call out here. If you have any suggestions for, albums that are considered universally loved to do negative reviews on, or albums that are universally, shit on to do positive reviews, put them in the thing or email me. Actually, I now have a website. It is oldheadnetwork.com. Yes, I stole that from Dan Reed Network, but it is called oldheadnetwork.com. And nice. Literally, like, all my shit is there. And there's a contact page where you can just send me a fucking email. And if you have any requests or suggestions or complaints or dick pics or what I don't care. I'll do a dick rating. I'll let you know, like, on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm not afraid of that.
I'll tell you what, before we go, I can't believe I didn't mention this, but I don't know if you also received an email from Nigel Linden.
No, Nigel Linden.
Okay, so this guy has very kindly sent me an email, and it says, "Hey Eddie, thank you and Old Head for putting out the Cranked and Ranked episodes you've made over the years. I first listened to the Megadeth and Metallica podcasts and then moved on to the Cannibal Corpse, Black Sabbath and Anthrax episodes. I've been listening consistently ever since, as I'm only a few years younger than you. You've both exposed me to so much new and kick-ass music from the 70s, 80s and 90s I don't think I'd have explored on my own. I've had low moments in the past 2 years, and your commentary has brought me many laughs and genuinely new favorite artists. Thanks for getting me into Anne and Nancy Wilson's heart and for giving cryptic writings its rightful praise. Kind regards, Nigel." Absolute legend. I did get back to him on email, but I just remembered to shout out
thanks, Nigel. That's great. Thank you. I'm telling you, I think we say it every time, but that is the best thing about doing this is
absolutely
not just being entertaining,
having an impact on the community.
Well, it's just like something positive. Like, it's like, sure, if we're entertaining, or if you just have a song in the background while you're doing something else, that's fine. Doing your lady or your man, whatever you're doing.
That was my Big Smoke impression. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Got out of hand.
But I was just saying, like, when people say that there's, it brings them some sort of joy, whether big or small. If it's an escape of some sort. That is like the best thing, because that's what this is for me. Like, doing Cranked and Ranked, doing the videos I do, it really is kind of like, because I've talked about it before. I deal with like anxiety and stuff like that, and the best thing and the reason why I like to talk about music and do this is because it really is sort of a release of just like positive energy. And so if that is, it feels the same to any of you out there, then that's amazing. And that's so thanks, Nigel, and thanks everybody for all the peanut butter platypuses, the aluminium squirrels, the Belvedere ball sitters, and Christmas dog. I want to say thank you for your support.
I think I'm going to keep loving you.
Yeah. My impression was Bartles and James. There's Bartles and James commercials. They used to have the two old men on the porch, and they would go, "We thank you for your support." Anyway, wine coolers, everybody. They will upset your tummy. I'm going to tell you that now. All right, so that's the end of this episode. Do you have any parting words, Edward?
You should have seen by the look in my eyes. Baby, there was something missing. You should have known by the tone of my voice, maybe, but you didn't listen. You played dead, but you never bled. Instead, you laid in the grass all caught up and hissing. And I'm gonna keep on loving you, 'cause it's the only thing I wanna do, Jenny. I don't wanna sleep. I just wanna keep on loving you.
Man, that song, I gotta go listen to that song now. I fucking love that song. I don't get REO Speedwagon is like, the poppy stuff. Oh fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
And though I know all about those men, still I don't remember, because it was us, baby, way before then. And we're still together, and I meant every word I said. When I said I love you, I meant I love you forever, Jenny. And I'm gonna keep on loving you.
That's a little throwback to the Warrant episode. If you didn't watch the Warrant episode,
there's a timestamp comment on that episode, and I keep rewatching it because I just relive every time. It's never not funny. Just like the reaction to you telling me that line sounds like something Forrest Gump would say to Jenny. It's just been. I think I've watched that 10 times daily since we did that episode.
I don't think I'm going to love you anymore. All right. Well, that's good.
I was just going to say, I like to think that the chorus up to that point is him narrating, and then that line is him talking to Jenny. And there's so many layers to it. It just works so well.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Thanks, Janie Lane, for the laughs. Jenny Lane. All right. Okay. That's it. This is really the end, guys.
Yes.
So we'll be back with another episode of something next time. I'm gonna start leaving things super open just because we can do whatever the fuck we want. Next time is gonna be something that you're gonna see with us doing it. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. And go listen to Sage and go listen to Old Head Radio.
Nice.
Do all those things. All right. Hope you guys have a nice week, and we'll see you next time. And as usual, I'm gonna throw it over to Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Later, dude.